You ever think about what really controls your money? I mean, there's this invisible system out there that pretty much dictates every trade on the planet. It's the silent engine behind your stocks, your house, your entire retirement plan. And it all started with a secret deal made behind closed doors about 50 years ago. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain. Just let that sink in for a second. Imagine a single agreement that allows the US government to borrow trillions of dollars at ridiculously low rates. An agreement that gives it the power to literally cripple another country's economy with a single phone call. Well, that system exists. It's called the petrodollar system. And for the first time in half a century, some of the biggest countries in the world are starting to build an escape route. For any investor, understanding this isn't just a nice to know, it's absolutely fundamental. Now, to get this, we have to start with something my old Wall Street mentor always used to drill into my head. Always, always follow the energy. See, oil isn't just gas for your car. It's the plastic in your phone. It's the fertilizer that grows our food. It's the fuel for the massive ships that bring us, well, everything. The entire global economy runs on the stuff. So what is this petrodollar system? It's actually brutally simple. It's just an agreement that says the world's most critical commodity, oil, has to be bought and sold in only one currency, the US dollar. It doesn't matter if you're Japan or Germany or Brazil. If you want to buy oil, you have to get your hands on greenbacks first. Period. Right. So how did we get here? This system was not an accident. It was forged in a moment of pure crisis, a secret deal that completely re-engineered the world's financial plumbing. To understand the cracks we're seeing today, we have to go back to the beginning. Okay, so let's rewind. Back in 1944, the US dollar was crowned the world's reserve currency because it was backed by gold. It was literally as good as gold. But then, by 1971, the US had printed way too many dollars for the gold it had. So President Nixon went on TV and just cut the cord. He severed the dollar's link to gold. The result? Total chaos in global finance. Then, just 2 years later, bam! The 1973 OPEC oil embargo hits. Prices go through the roof, and the US economy grinds to a halt. Nixon was desperate. He needed a new anchor for the dollar. And that desperation led to the secret deal in 1974. So, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger flies over to Saudi Arabia with a very straightforward proposal. The deal was basically this. You, Saudi Arabia, agree to sell all your oil only in US dollars. In return, we, the United States, will give you unlimited military protection and weapons. And just like that, the US dollar, which was now backed by nothing, was suddenly backed by something the world needed even more than gold: black gold, oil. And what this deal created was, well, it's this perfect self-reinforcing loop, a system that forces money to flow out of the US to buy oil, only to have it flow right back in as an investment. This is what finance folks call petrodollar recycling. And honestly, once you see it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Let's just walk through a simple example. So, Japan needs oil. They can't pay for it in yen because the deal says dollars only. So step one, Japan has to get US dollars. How? Usually by selling us things, like cars, or by buying US government debt. Then they send those dollars to Saudi Arabia in exchange for oil. Okay, so now what does Saudi Arabia do with these mountains of US dollars? Well, they recycle them. They invest them right back into the US, buying up US stocks, real estate, and most importantly, US government bonds. It's a perfect, beautiful loop. This perfect loop gives the United States three massive, some would say unfair advantages. This is what people refer to as America's exorbitant privilege, and believe me, it affects your wallet every single day.
Okay, first up, the most obvious one. Every single country that needs to import oil, which is pretty much every country on Earth, is forced to keep huge stockpiles of US dollars. This creates a constant artificial demand for the dollar that has absolutely nothing to do with how healthy the US economy actually is.
So what does this mean for you? Well, all that artificial demand keeps the dollar stronger than it probably should be. That means your purchasing power gets a big boost. The iPhone in your pocket, the clothes you're wearing, the furniture in your house, they are all cheaper for you to buy because of the petrodollar system. The second advantage is just as powerful. Remember how all those countries have to hold on to their dollars? Well, the safest place for them to park those dollars is in US government bonds, also known as treasuries. And this creates a giant, permanent, and kind of a captive market for US government debt. And here's why that matters so much. Because everybody needs to buy US bonds, the government gets to borrow money at incredibly low interest rates. This is what funds government spending and helps keep our taxes lower than they would be.
And for investors, these super low bond rates push a tidal wave of cash into riskier things, like stocks and real estate. That whole stocks only go up feeling we've had for decades? Yeah, the petrodollar is the invisible hand pushing them higher.
All right, the third advantage. This one is the most dangerous. If you control the one currency everyone must use for global trade, you can cut anyone off from that system whenever you want.
This is exactly why U.S. sanctions are so uniquely powerful. Just think about what happened when the U.S. sanctioned Russia in 2022. They didn't have to send troops. They just said, you can't use dollars anymore. And overnight, Russian banks were frozen out of the global system. Their companies couldn't trade, they couldn't pay suppliers. It's the power to crush a country's economy without firing a single bullet. But, and this is a really big but, using that ultimate power comes at a price. The rest of the world has been watching. And after seeing the US weaponize the dollar again and again, major powers like China, Russia, India, and yes, even Saudi Arabia itself have all decided they need a plan B. And for the first time in 50 years, they are actually building one.
And I want to be clear, this isn't some far-off theory. This is happening right now. China is buying Russian oil directly in Chinese yuan. India is paying for its oil in Indian rupees. And maybe the most shocking development of all, Saudi Arabia, the original partner in this whole deal, is now openly talking about accepting other currencies for its oil. The BRICS nations are all working together on alternatives, looking at everything from a new shared currency to payment systems that completely bypass the dollar. Each one of these deals is another little crack in the foundation. And you can see this in the data. It's not just talk. The dollar's share of all the money held by central banks around the world has dropped from about 70% back at the turn of the century to just 58% today. Now, that's not a collapse, not by a long shot, but it is a clear, undeniable trend. The world is slowly but surely moving away.
So, this all brings us to the trillion-dollar question, right? What happens next? If all these countries want out, why hasn't the dollar already collapsed? And what does the future of money actually look like?
Probably the best way to think about it is with this analogy. The entire global financial system is like a massive oil tanker. You've got trillions of dollars in contracts, all the banking infrastructure, global accounting standards. Everything is built around the US dollar. You can't just turn a ship that big on a dime. It's a slow, complicated, and very risky process.
So a sudden dramatic collapse? Yeah, that's highly unlikely. There's just no other currency or system ready to step in and take its place tomorrow. What's much more likely is a gradual decline, a slow erosion. Think of it like what happened to physical newspapers when the internet came along. They didn't just vanish overnight, right? But every single year, they mattered a little less. The petrodollar right now is having its newspaper moment.
But this kind of huge shift, it also creates incredible opportunities. In a world with a weaker dollar, real assets, stuff you can actually touch, like gold and other commodities, they tend to do really well. The countries that export these commodities could see their own currencies get stronger, making them really interesting places to invest. And the energy transition is a massive wildcard here. Why? Because every solar panel we build, every nuclear plant we fire up, that's one less barrel of oil a country needs to buy, and one less reason for them to hold US dollars.
So look, the key takeaway here is not to panic. But you do need to understand that the invisible foundation that your entire investment portfolio is built on has cracks forming. The smart money isn't betting on a sudden collapse, but it is repositioning for a slow decline. The world is changing. The only question left is, are you prepared for what comes next?